O eternal and almighty God, from whom all power and wisdom come, we are assembled here before thee to frame such laws as may tend to the welfare and prosperity of our province. Grant, O merciful God, we pray thee, that we may desire only that which is in accordance with thy will, that we may seek it with wisdom and know it with certainty and accomplish it perfectly. For the glory and honor of thy name and for the welfare of all our people. Amen. We acknowledge we are gathered on Treaty 1 territory and that Manitoba is located on the treaty territories and ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Anishinaabeg, Dakota Oete, Dene, Tsuut'ina, and Neothorg nations. We acknowledge Manitoba is located on the homeland of the Red River Métis. We acknowledge northern Manitoba includes lands that were and are the ancestral lands of the Inuit. We respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making and remain committed to working in partnership with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration. Please be seated. Routine proceedings. Introduction of bills. The Honourable Member for Roblin.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move, seconded by the Member for Agassiz, that Bill number 233, the Lyme and Other Tick-Borne Diseases Awareness Month Act, Commemoration of Days, Weeks and Months Act amended, be now read a first time.
Excellent.
Been moved by the Honourable Member for Roblin, seconded by the Honourable Member for Agassiz, that Bill number 233, the Lyme and Other Tick-Borne Disease Awareness Month Act, Commemoration of Days, Weeks and Months Act amended, be now read a first time. The Honourable Member for Roblin.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Here in Manitoba, reported cases of Lyme disease and other tick-borne diseases have increased significantly. But when it comes to ticks, the best offense is a good defense. Greater awareness of the cause and symptoms of tick-borne diseases will help Manitobans take precautions to minimize their risk of infection and severe illness. Observing Lyme and Other Tick-Borne Diseases Awareness Month will promote awareness and education about these serious diseases.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. Committee reports. The Honourable Member for Tuxedo.
Honourable Speaker, I wish to present the fourth report of the Standing Committee on Social and Economic Development.
Your Standing Committee on Social and Economic Development.
Dispense. The Honourable Member for Tuxedo.
Honourable Speaker, I move, seconded by the Honourable Member from Waverley, that the report of the committee be received. Thank you.
Been moved by the Honourable Member for Tuxedo, seconded by the Honourable Member for Waverley, that the fourth report of the Standing Committee on Social and Economic Development be received. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly carried. The Honourable Member for Transcona.
Honourable Speaker, I wish to present the fifth report of the Standing Committee on Legislative Affairs.
Your Standing Committee on Legislative Affairs.
Dispense. The Honourable Member for Transcona.
Honourable Speaker, I move, seconded by the Honourable Member for Lagimodiere, that the report of the committee be received.
Been moved by the Honourable Member for Transcona, seconded by the Honourable Member for Lagimodiere, that the fifth report of the Standing Committee on Legislative Affairs be received. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. Tabling of reports. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Honourable Speaker, I'd like to table the sequence for the consideration of departmental estimates in the Committee of Supply for today only.
Ministerial statements. The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources and Indigenous Futures.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise today to provide the Chamber with an update on the wildfire situation in Manitoba. This is a very serious situation our government is monitoring closely. It is a fluid and rapidly developing situation, particularly in the Lac du Bonnet region and the Whiteshell Provincial Park and Nopaming Park. There are 24 active fires. 6 of those fires are of note and require significant and prompt response. Mandatory evacuation orders have been issued in 5 provincial parks, 3 local authorities, 3 Northern Affairs committees, and 24 cottage subdivisions. And so far, 6 states of local emergency have been declared. The current status of wildfires in Manitoba is serious. I want to take this opportunity to thank the first responders who step up when called upon and have put themselves in harm's way to protect lives, livelihoods, and property. I also want to thank local communities and authorities who have been integral in helping our government and folks on the ground respond to challenges we are facing. I want to ensure all Manitobans, emergency management organizations, and local fire departments are working around the clock and are in constant contact with our government. We are actively working to manage the situation and use the appropriate resources as necessary. All Manitobans' safety is our top priority and responsibility. We know Manitobans are looking forward to getting out and enjoying this potential May-long weekend. In the Whiteshell region, I want to urge Manitobans to give space to let the first responders do their work, and if you don't need to be there, please stay away. Please remain mindful that there are emergency activities in close proximity and remain aware of alerts and emergency communications as the situation develops. Stay alert and monitor for communication from local authorities and follow their directions. Check out gov.mb.ca/wildfire for updates. I want to send our support to all Manitobans who have been forced out of their homes and the folks on evacuation watch. We thank you for your cooperation and understanding while we work through this developing situation. Manitobans always draw together in times like these to support one another. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Swan River.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Today our thoughts are once again with the many Manitobans who are facing the frightening reality of evacuation uncertainty due to the growing wildfire crisis across the province. As fires intensify, a state of local emergency has been declared for Nopaming, Wallace Lake, South Attakaki, and Toboggan River provincial parks. Evacuation orders are now in effect for communities surrounding Bird, Brewster, Davidson, and Flanders Lakes, Long and Beresford Lakes, and Wallace Lake, affecting hundreds of residents, cottagers, campers, business owners. And in the Whiteshell Provincial Park, closures have expanded as out-of-control fires cross from the Ontario border, threatening more of our treasured landscapes. The emotional toll is unmeasurable. In Lac du Bonnet, flames moved swiftly through cottage country, displacing close to 1,000 people overnight, some with only moments to leave their homes. These are not just stories, they are lived realities unfolding for families and individuals across our province. To every person forced to flee, your fear, your losses, and your resilience do not go unnoticed. We stand with you. We also are deeply grateful to our courageous teams fighting these fires around the clock. Firefighters, RCMP officers, Manitoba Hydro workers, search and rescue units, emergency coordinators, all working through dangerous conditions, protecting life and property. Manitoba Hydro has now shut down the Slave Falls and Pointe de Bois generating stations to protect their crews, an extraordinary decision that speaks to the severity of the moment. Your sacrifices are not just acts of duty, they are acts of deep service to our communities. As this crisis continues, I urge everyone to follow evacuation orders and park closures without delay. We are not out of the woods
time
yet,
has expired.
we will get.
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Honourable Speaker, I rise in the House today to recognize the Manitoba Organization for Victims Assistance, also known as MOVA. I speak today in honour of their 25th anniversary of supporting families of victims of homicide. This week is National Victims of Survivors of Crime Week, and the theme is the power of collaboration. And I believe it's particularly fitting as there's no better example of the power of collaboration than MOVA. 25 years ago, then Minister of Justice Gord McIntosh met with Darlene Rempel-Fillion, a mother who tragically lost her son to homicide, to discuss how to better support victims as they navigate our justice system. Ms. Rempel-Fillion voiced her concerns around the gaps in support for victims in Manitoba. With encouragement and support from former Minister McIntosh, MOVA was created. MOVA is an organization comprised of victims helping victims. They provide a support system through court accompaniment, phone and virtual support, as well as group sharing sessions. The Manitoba government greatly appreciates MOVA's commitment to helping Manitobans in times of crisis and grief, and their work is invaluable. That is why this year we are providing MOVA with an additional $15,000 in funding to further support their events and activities this year. Ms. Rempel-Fillion has advocated for the improvement of rights for victims across Canada throughout the past 40 years. Her vision of helping victims with the grieving process from beginning to wherever their individual journey takes them is inspiring. This vision has now been carried on with energy and dedication by Karen Wiebe, MOVA's current executive director. Ms. Wiebe is a trailblazer, someone who has turned her own grief following the loss of her son to homicide into action, both through her work with MOVA and by establishing the TJ's Gift Foundation. Supporting victims of crime is a priority for our government and for my department. We'll continue to protect victims and ensure that they have better access to justice and that they have the supports that they need before, during, and after a trial. I am thankful for our ongoing collaboration with MOVA to achieve this goal. I was honored to join MOVA for their parade and 25th anniversary event on the steps of the Legislature this past weekend. The courage and resilience of the families who spoke about their lost loved ones was deeply, deeply moving. There's a space here on the legislative grounds, Honourable Speaker, a flower garden, which allows families to have a place to remember their loved ones, and as a place to remind us as legislators that there's more to be done, both in preventing homicide and in supporting the victims of it. I'm pleased to share that a beautiful new bronze plaque will grace the garden later this spring in honor of MOVA's 25th anniversary and of all of the organization's work in supporting victims. The pain caused by murder never goes away, Honourable Speaker. It leaves a void that can never be filled. But MOVA wraps its arms around bereaved family members and provides them with comfort, support, and love during the most difficult of times in their lives. As Minister of Justice, I want to say thank you to MOVA, the staff and volunteers, and everyone for their incredibly difficult work that you do in supporting families through tremendous loss and grief. To Darlene and Karen, who join us here in the gallery today, you have made our province a better place, a more compassionate place, a place where families who have endured the unimaginable can find comfort and peace. The commitment that you demonstrate each and every day is truly remarkable. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Brandon West.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Today I rise with deep respect and gratitude to recognize the 25th anniversary of the Manitoba Organization for Victim Assistance, or MOVA, as many Manitobans know it. Since 2000, MOVA has been a place of hope, healing, and strength for Manitobans affected by crime. As a non-profit organization, it's built on a simple but powerful idea. Those who have experienced harm are often the strongest support for others on this very same journey. MOVA's guiding principle, victims helping victims, is what makes the organization truly special. To the people at MOVA, thank you for showing what courage and compassion look like. You stand with victims, you listen, you speak up, and you remind them that they are not alone. Over the past 25 years, MOVA has quietly and with great heart supported thousands of Manitobans. Their work may not always make the headlines, but its impact is lasting and deeply felt. Honorable Speaker, today we honor not just an organization, but a community, one built on empathy, resilience, and love. On behalf of our PC caucus, I extend our sincere thank you and congratulations to MOVA on the important milestone today. Your dedication has touched countless lives, and the hope you inspire will continue to guide and uplift our community for years to come. To Darlene and Karen, thank you for all you do, not just today, but the entire year through. Thank you.
Prior to member statements, there's some guests in the gallery that will be leaving us soon, so I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce them. We have seated in the public gallery from Gordon Bell School, 30 grade 9 students under the direction of Peter Vanderhoot, and they're guests of the Honourable Member for Wolseley, and we welcome you here today. There are some other guests seated in the Speaker's Gallery that I'd like to draw all honourable members' attention to. We have with us today the summer tour guides for the Legislative Building, Emily Derboca, Emma Fombani, Andreas Dieter, and Baudry Labossière, and they're accompanied by Claire Normandou, manager of the Visitor Tour Program, and we welcome you all here today. Member statements. The Honourable Member for Burrows.
Honourable Speaker, during Early Childhood Educator Week, I had the privilege of visiting daycare centers and home-based childcare providers in Burrows, where I witnessed firsthand the incredible contributions ECEs and childcare providers make to our community. Their dedication is vital to the development of future generations and to supporting Manitoban families. I would like to commend these individuals and facilities for their indispensable work. In particular, Huron childcare has been a long-standing pillar in our community, and I want to thank Erin Nault and Charanjit Singh for their leadership. I also had the pleasure of visiting Shepherd's Care Day Nursery and Inspired by Wonder, both of which provide nurturing environments where children thrive. Home-based childcare providers whose work often goes unrecognized are equally deserving of our gratitude. Special recognition goes to facilities such as Fun Kids Family Childcare, Lorenda and Roland Cabreros, Happy Feet Family Daycare, Christina Arsenault, Corazon Family Home Childcare, Corazon Luby, and Little Angels Family Daycare, Myla Kua. Additionally, I am inspired by the collective efforts of Filipina childcare practitioners who form a strong support network through the licensed Filipino family childcare providers and educators. Their dedication and collaboration exemplify the strength of community care. As we celebrate these remarkable individuals and facilities, let us continue to advocate for and support the vital work of ECEs and childcare providers whose contributions profoundly shape the future of our communities. Please join me in welcoming my guests in the gallery and recognizing all ECEs watching online today.
The honourable member for La Vérendrye.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to recognize the Gardenton Ukrainian Museum and Village Society for celebrating their 60th anniversary this year. That means 60 years of showcasing the more than 125 years of Ukrainian settlement in our corner of the province. Each year for the past 60 years, the Gardenton Museum has hosted an exciting Ukrainian festival on the second weekend in July, where thousands of people have gathered on their beautiful park located on the banks of the Roseau River. This year's special anniversary celebration will take place on Saturday, July 12th, and also serve as the official kickoff to the site's campground development project. UMVS is the only museum of its kind in southeast Manitoba and located on the land originally settled by the earliest Ukrainian pioneers in Manitoba, dating back to the 1890s. Inside the museum, you're able to learn about the rich history and cultural heritage of those first settlers who battled tremendous odds and hardship to help build the great province we have today. UMVS has featured an annual Ukrainian festival each year since 1965 to highlight the culture of Ukrainians in Manitoba. Many Ukrainian performers from across Manitoba have graced the outdoor stage with their music and, of course, vibrant Ukrainian dancing over those past 6 decades. Along with the performers, thousands of spectators have enjoyed the culture, food, and entertainment. 60 years of success and growth couldn't have been possible without the foresight of the museum's founders, decades of volunteers, and the ongoing support of the local municipality. I would like to welcome with us in the gallery today Museum Director Helen Finuke and RM of Sturtburn Reeve, Michelle Goronsky, and together would like to invite all Manitobans to this year's anniversary celebration on July 12th.
The honourable member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Today we are joined by 7 representatives from Pharmacists Manitoba, and I want to use this opportunity to highlight how integral they are to our healthcare system. For many Manitobans, pharmacists are who we go to when we have healthcare questions, when we are getting our flu shots, or when we are getting a prescription filled. They are easily accessible, very well educated, and highly skilled individuals. And fortunately for us, they are eager and wanting to do even more to alleviate the pressures currently faced by emergency rooms and walk-in clinics. It is important to point out that in many provinces, pharmacists are enabled to work more collaboratively with other healthcare professionals compared to here in Manitoba. For example, they are able to make therapeutic substitutions, prescribe, adapt and change doses, order lab tests, conduct point-of-care testing, and even treat specific cases such as shingles. Now, Pharmacists Manitoba have been lobbying the government for several years, expressing and demonstrating their ability to contribute further to our healthcare system by taking a more clinical approach and offering services through pharmacy care clinics. However, there are barriers preventing them. Every province has provincial regulations that set out what pharmacists can and cannot do. And currently, especially compared to other provinces, pharmacists can't fully exercise their training here in Manitoba. Pharmacists Manitoba is prepared with 460 points of care located in more than 90 communities. We're talking 1,100 frontline healthcare professionals who are ready and wanting to help fill the big gap currently in our healthcare system. Other provinces are already well on their way in providing expanded services, and my guests from Pharmacists Manitoba are here and ready to do the same for Manitoba. They just need the opportunity. In closing, I'd like to ask my colleagues to join me in congratulating the over 30 graduates from the College of Pharmacy who are set to graduate first thing tomorrow morning, and to those who have joined us today in the gallery. Thank you.
honourable member for Lakeside.
Honourable Speaker, I rise today to recognize two extraordinary Manitobans, Silver and Gary Peltier of Woodlands, Manitoba, who have been named Make-A-Wish Manitoba's Provincial Volunteers of the Year. This remarkable couple is the heart and soul behind a Ride for a Child's Wish, an event that has become a symbol of hope, generosity, and community spirit across our province. Since 1988, the Peltiers have hosted this annual fundraiser on their farm located along No. 6 Highway between Warren and Woodlands. What began with just 11 horseback riders and $750 raised has grown into a massive community event, drawing more than 700 riders and attendees each year. To date, this grassroots initiative has raised nearly $2 million for the Children's Wish Foundation and Make-A-Wish Manitoba, helping to grant life-changing wishes for children facing critical illnesses. The event's success is a testament to the countless volunteers brought together by Silver and Gary, whose tireless efforts, humility, and compassion have touched the lives of so many. My family and I have had the privilege of participating many times over the years. We've even performed at afternoon shows and the beloved evening barn dances. It's a true community celebration. In 2017, Silver and Gary were honoured with Canada 150 medallions for their exceptional community service. And on June 4th, they will once again be recognized at a special Make-A-Wish banquet in Winnipeg. Their legacy continues with the 35th annual Ride for a Child's Wish, scheduled on August 23rd. Honourable Speaker, on behalf of this House, I extend heartfelt congratulations and thanks to Silver and Gary Peltier. Your selfless dedication has made Manitoba a more compassionate and generous place, and your efforts will continue to inspire generations to come. Congratulations on this well-deserved honor. Thank you.
The honourable member for Fort Garry.
I'm honoured to rise today to recognize Curtis Hull, a professional engineer, climate advocate, and community builder whose work has had a lasting impact across Manitoba. For over 20 years, Curtis has been a leading voice in climate resilience and community-based sustainability. As lead author with Manitoba Climate Action Team, he helped develop the Road to Resilience, a comprehensive plan to transition Manitoba toward clean energy, geothermal heating, and reduced emissions. Through this work, Curtis traveled to communities such as Sioux Valley Dakota Nation and Swan Lake First Nation, supporting grassroots climate planning and helping secure federal funding for locally led projects. Curtis also worked in northern Manitoba for over 5 years, completing sustainability projects in 3 diesel-dependent First Nation communities. His efforts supported local resilience, reduced emissions, created opportunities for self-reliance in some of Manitoba's most remote communities. He currently serves as the Vice Chair of Sustainable Building Manitoba and as a board member of Efficiency Manitoba. In these roles, he's advanced energy-efficient building practices, supported climate education, and helped professionals integrate sustainable solutions into their work. His leadership reflects a commitment to practical, forward-looking change. Beyond environmental work, Curtis has made significant contributions to Winnipeg's urban and cultural life. He co-founded Bike to Work Day and played a key role in the creation of Winnipeg's active transportation network. For more than 20 years, he coordinated the Banff Mountain Film Festival in Winnipeg, and he's also contributed to food rescue initiatives and the development of cooperative housing in the city. Curtis' dedication extends to business as well. As a senior leader at Vansco Electronics, he helped grow a small Winnipeg company into a global enterprise, demonstrating innovation and sustainability can go hand in hand. Honourable Speaker, Curtis Hull's work has touched the lives, built communities, and strengthened our province. I invite all members to join me in thanking this outstanding Fort Garry resident's contributions to our province.
Prior to oral questions, there's some more guests in the gallery I'd like to introduce. We have in the public gallery Gail Romantics, Pharmacist Manitoba President, Marilyn Sidhu, Pharmacist Manitoba Board Member, Mariana Pozdirka, Pharmacist Manitoba Board Member, Armeni Lorazino, Pharmacist Manitoba Student Liaison and Pharmacy Student, Sunjin Han, Pharmacy Student, Britt Curl, Pharmacy Practice Advisor, Pharmacist Manitoba, Andrea Lear, CEO, Pharmacist Manitoba. We welcome you here today. We also have seated in the public gallery Luke Martins, who is a political science student from the University of Manitoba and the guest of the Honourable Member for Tuxedo. We welcome you here today. Further, we have seated in the public gallery John Hendrickson from the PAW, who has won the king trapping contest there 12 times now. He is here as a guest of the Honourable Member for Swan River, and we welcome you here today. Also in the public gallery, we have with us Darlene Rempel-Filion, Karen Wiebe, Chad Wiebe, who are the guests of the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General and the Honourable Member for Concordia. On behalf of all honourable members, we welcome you here today. And then I suppose we must go to oral questions. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Honourable Speaker, Manitobans are worried about their property taxes going up under this NDP government. We've asked over a dozen times what the Premier's plan is, and he's denying Manitobans real answers. Yesterday, I received a letter from a Manitoban whose education property taxes jumped 54% under this NDP. In the letter, the Manitoba states that under the previous PC government, 50% rebate, the homeowner was paying $880. But now, under this NDP Premier, they are paying almost $1,400, an increase of $520. What does this Premier have to say to Manitobans and this resident and the other 132,000 property owners in Winnipeg that are seeing historic property tax increases under this NDP?
The Honourable Deputy Premier.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Under the previous former PC administration, the member opposite well knows that they spent 7.5 years, every single day of each of those 7.5 years, working hard to make Manitobans' lives more expensive.
That's right.
That's what they were focused on. Yep. They were focused on how do we make Manitobans' lives more difficult, more expensive? How do we hurt health care? How do we hurt education? That was their objective. On this side of the House, we're taking a different approach. We're working to make life more affordable for Manitobans. We did that in our first budget, and thanks to our great finance minister, we did it in our second.
All right.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, it's a shame that the Premier won't even have the courtesy to stand up and answer that question, so he puts up his failing health minister to answer that question. Maybe this minister also wants to fail on the economy as well. The Premier has conveniently, and the Deputy Premier has conveniently left out that Manitobans were getting more money back under the PCs than they are under this NDP government. And I quote from this Premier, "We'll keep the 50% residential education property tax rebate," end quote. No surprise, Honourable Speaker, another broken promise by this Premier. Now seniors on a limited income are paying more. Did this Premier tell Manitobans with that smile on his face that he will be raising education property taxes to historic levels in this province?
The Honourable Deputy Premier.
Honourable Speaker, the member opposite, the Leader of the Opposition, his jealousy is showing. This is the second day in a row he's talked about the Premier's wonderful smile. What's up with that? Manitobans want to see a happy Premier who's hard at work, making their lives more affordable. That's what Manitobans want. Honourable Speaker, today we are proud to announce that our government has taken another step towards knocking down the interprovincial trade barriers. Our Premier signed a memorandum of understanding with the Government of Ontario to boost the flow of goods, services and investments between workers in both of our province. Our Premier's getting it done for Manitobans.
Here, here, right
on. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Speaker, let's be very clear here. No one is jealous over a creepy, fake smile. Also, no one is jealous over a D-minus health minister. The Premier needs to stop with the fake news and photo shoots and start governing for Manitobans. A senior on a limited budget reached out to this Premier's office to explain how the actions of his government have caused a skyrocket of $522 under this NDP government. This senior has spoken to neighbours and they're facing the same thing under this NDP. These are real problems. Manitobans are asking for real answers. Why is this Premier and this failed health minister not answering the question? Why have they increased education properties taxes in Manitoba to historically high levels?
The Honourable Deputy Premier.
Honourable Speaker, our Premier understands that Manitobans have very real needs and challenges that were unaddressed for 7.5 years under a callous PC government that focused on making life more expensive and hurting the structures that provide for Manitobans every single day. That's why in our very first budget, we made sure to freeze the fuel tax. We cut that fuel tax right down to zero for Manitobans. For 7.5 years, each and every day of their time in office, the PCs charge Manitobans that fuel tax. In our second budget, Honourable Speaker, we're making sure that Manitobans can save money on their property taxes. A $1,500 rebate that's going to go up to $1,600. 80%, almost 80% of Manitobans are going to be better off as a result.
Member's time has expired. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a new question.
Manitobans, you can see it once again. The Premier is not answering the questions, and now the Deputy Premier, failed health minister, is not answering the questions. I'll pivot from seniors to small businesses. We've heard from dozens of small businesses that are also experiencing the pinch under this NDP government. One has reached out and shared that the education portion of their tax bill went from $8,600 under the previous PC government to $13,250 under this NDP government, an increase of $4,650 in just 1 year. I will table that today for the minister, failed health minister, to read. The Premier talked about targeting Bay Street. Seems like he's targeting businesses right here in Winnipeg.
The Honourable Deputy Premier. The Honourable Deputy Premier.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Speaking of targeting, perhaps the Leader of the Opposition will finally stand in his place today and apologize by way of action for targeting the murder victims of a serial killer. That's right. That member opposite is keeping a rebate, a $160,000 rebate. He spent $650,000 attacking the murder victims of a serial killer in this province. One of the most disgusting things we've ever seen during a political campaign in our provinces and our nation's history. Will the member opposite stand in his place today and return those dollars to the hardworking Manitobans that he took it from to do that harm?
Hear, hear. Right on.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Honourable Speaker, I'm asking questions about affordability, about Manitobans that are feeling the pinch under this NDP. And what does this Deputy Premier do? Doesn't even answer the question. Completely avoids it. Small businesses are feeling the heat under this NDP, a $4,650 increase for one small business under this NDP. At a time where small businesses are worried about how they're going to make payroll, how they're going to pay their rent, and how they're going to pay for supplies they need. This NDP Premier is directly attacking them. The Premier falsely claims, and I quote, "Everyone is better off," end quote. Can the Premier or Deputy Premier stand up and tell Manitobans how a small business is better off paying an increase of $4,650 under this NDP?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Deputy Premier.
Honourable Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition really needs to take a closer look at the 25-26 budget. Our budget cuts the payroll tax for businesses here in Manitoba.
Hear, hear.
We're making life more affordable for small business owners. In addition to that, Honourable Speaker, because we know that safety for small businesses is important and it comes at a cost, our government has $10 million in our budget for security rebates, again, for small businesses right here in Manitoba. Our team has brought that forward because we understand that small businesses need some more support, and we're going to keep doing that work. But the member opposite is keeping the hard-earned tax dollars of Manitobans, a rebate for attacking the murder victims of a serial killer. Why hasn't he apologized? And when he give those hard-working dollars back to those Manitobans?
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary
Here
question.
we have it, Manitoba. Under this Canoe government, homeowners are worse off. Seniors are worse off, healthcare is worse off, and small businesses are worse off, all under this NDP government. Another small business I spoke with was assessed with a 90% increase of their small business. 90%, Honourable Speaker, 90%. That doesn't affect the businesses that have a $2 million payroll, Deputy Premier. Why is the Premier and Deputy Premier so focused on making life impossible for small businesses in Manitoba?
The Honourable Deputy Premier.
Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I want to remind everybody in this House and Manitobans who are paying attention that part of the reason why we're facing economic challenges in this province is because people like the Leader of the Opposition have thanked Donald Trump for tariffs.
That's right.
The Leader of the Opposition does not stand on the side of Manitobans or Canadians. He thanks people who are going after our economy. He doesn't care about small businesses in Manitoba. Our government is cutting the payroll tax, offering a security rebate for Manitoba small business owners, and we're making life generally more affordable when that member opposite only cared about making life more expensive when he was on this side of the House. And Honourable Speaker, that's why he's now on that side of the House.
The Honourable Member for Brandon West.
Yesterday, I joined Mothers Against Drunk Driving and the Reimer family at an event to call on Manitobans to be vigilant and alert the police about suspected impaired drivers. It's unfortunate the minister opted not to attend, as I know many of the attendees wanted to call on him to reconsider his opposition to amendments to Bill 5, amendments to strengthen impaired driving legislation. Will he? Yes or no?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Honourable Speaker, I was honoured to spend time with Jordan's family yesterday, to speak to them personally, to thank them personally for their advocacy. Their strength and their activism has been so amazing, and it is such an important part of the conversation. I know that they recognize the work that we're doing is unprecedented, that in Manitoba there's more work to do, but this bill is a bill in the right direction, so a step in the right direction on clamping down on impaired driving. We do it in Jordan's memory, as we do for all victims of impaired driving.
Great job.
The Honourable Member for Brandon West on a supplementary question.
It was a simple question posed to this minister, yes or no, and he failed to answer that question. It's quite telling how this minister acts. When families are in the gallery, he pretends he cares, yet he sits in his place and denies leave to send a bill to committee, and to those same family members call him out for playing politics with commemorating victims. Families have called on this minister time and time again to act. Why is he refusing to act on Bill 5 amendments?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Honourable Speaker, we're listening to victims. As I said, had a chance to talk directly with Jordan's family yesterday. Of course, we met with MAD Canada in collaboration in developing Bill 5 and ensuring that we were getting it right, that we were taking the steps that we can take here in the province of Manitoba. There's more work to do. We heard from Jordan's family yesterday at the dedication ceremony of the bench in her community that A big part of this is education. It's working with law enforcement. We're supporting law enforcement in the efforts that they're taking around impaired driving as well. And this is about taking absolutely every step. And this should be a nonpartisan issue. I asked the member opposite to join in that
Member's
nonpartisan.
time has expired. The honourable member for Brandon West on a final supplementary question.
Organized labour raised concerns about Bill 25, and this government scrambled all over itself to amend that bill time and time and time again. The only time this minister considered amendments to Bill 5 was when he needed to clarify that a drunk driver had to kill people on multiple occasions before he would act. The minister prioritized the driving privileges of convicted drunk drivers over those of Manitoba families who have lost loved ones. Will he support the amendments to Bill 5 today as Mad Canada, Mad Winnipeg, and the Reimer family are calling for?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
What the member opposite put on the record is completely false. And this is the problem that Manitobans have with the party opposite and the unserious way they deal with issues like this. Mad Canada is in full support of Bill 5. Full stop. They want to see this legislation move forward because they know that every time they knocked on the former minister's door, nobody answered. We're answering the call, Honourable Speaker. We're going to make a difference because we care about the issue. We care about making our roads safer. We're listening to victims. We're not making political hay out of this issue. We're going to make a difference every single year. The members opposite need to get on board.
The honourable member for Riding Mountain.
Honourable Speaker, the key objectives for water stewardship initiatives include improving water quality, aquatic habitat, fisheries, drinking water, and climate change adaptation. Most Manitobans would agree these are valuable objectives. Why did this NDP government slash the budget by 25%?
The Honourable Minister for Environment and Climate Change.
I find it a little disingenuous, to be perfectly honest, Honourable Speaker, when the failed PC government is asking questions about cuts. They were the ones that cut the department. They were the ones that cut organizations like the Green Action Centre, like the Manitoba Eco Network, and like the Climate Change Connection. We're making investments each and every day. We're reaching out to that, and we have a serious plan to actually address climate change and environmental issues.
The honourable member for Riding Mountain on a supplementary
Honourable
question.
Speaker, this minister's own budget documents clearly show a 25% reduction. This brings dry conditions and accompanying water restrictions by many municipalities reinforces the need for water conservation as part of our long-term water management strategy. Why would this NDP government slash funding for public education to promote water conservation, or does he no longer believe that every drop counts?
The Honourable Minister for Environment and Climate Change.
The fact of the matter is that we have great relationships with groups like our watershed districts that are doing incredible work each and every day to protect our watersheds and to ensure that we have clean environments right across our great province. The members opposite absolutely have no leg to stand on.
The honourable member for Riding Mountain on a final supplementary question.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. This minister continues to deny a 25% cut to water stewardship. Prairie Province's Water Board, Red River Basin Commission, and Lake Winnipeg Research Consortium all receive partnership funding through water stewardship initiatives. A 25% funding cut means a lot fewer project grants. Why is this NDP government no longer supporting these partnerships?
The Honourable Minister for Environment and Climate Change.
What our government is doing is taking a comprehensive approach to a whole host of environmental issues. We are committed to fighting climate change, full stop. That is why we are building more clean energy. We are investing in ensuring that Manitobans can transform the way that they get around, including with EVs. And that is why we're protecting more and more nature, including the Seal River watershed. We're moving forward. They should get on board.
The honourable member for Interlake Gimli.
The Honourable Speaker, I rose recently to ask about the circumstances that may have contributed to the death of a man in the Arm of Fisher. The NDP government's response was underwhelming. Hopefully they've finally have some answers for Manitobans. I will ask the question again. Honourable Speaker, can the minister share how many rural 911 calls are not getting through to our call centre?
The Honourable Minister of Innovation and New Technology.
Honourable Speaker, I want to thank the member opposite for the important question. And as we have in the past in this chamber, I want to extend condolences to the family concerned. I want to table in the House today a letter sent on April 9th to the CEO of TELUS expressing our concerns over the situation.
The honourable member for Interlake Gimli on a supplementary question.
Again, no answer, and again, the wrong minister. The Emergency 911 Public Safety Answering Point Act is administered by the Emergency Management Organization, which itself is the responsibility of the Minister of Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure, the member for Wolseley. Honourable Speaker, can the minister responsible for EMO tell Manitobans how many 911 rural calls are not getting through to our call centre?
The Honourable Minister for Innovation and New Technology.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Again, I want to thank the member opposite for the question. As a former teacher, I'm always happy to walk back over material previously covered in class to see if students can collect it. This time, cell phone services, of course, connected with my department. It's managed through the federal government, through the CRTC. We're working with them to try and improve conditions for Manitobans across the province in the hopes that this sort of situation never happens again.
The honourable member for Interlake Gimli on a final supplementary question.
Well, the minister talks a big talk. It happened again last night with the wildfires in southeastern Manitoba. I've heard nothing that would indicate that this minister or their failing NDP government has any grasp on the seriousness of this issue. I will be asking the same questions on behalf of Manitobans until a satisfactory answer is given. How many rural 911 calls are not getting through to the Public Safety Communications Centre?
The Honourable Deputy Premier.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The question the member raises is a very serious one. Our government is working very closely with different providers to make sure that the tragedy that occurred never happens again. That we have the service in rural communities and across northern communities that is there when Manitobans make that really difficult call in those really difficult situations when they arise. The member did raise wildfires. I just want to really reiterate to folks in the Whiteshell Provincial Park area, if you do not need to be in the parks and you do not need to be in areas where first responders need to access, we are asking you to stay away. This is a quickly evolving situation. We need all Manitobans to follow the instructions very, very clearly and stay informed. We'll keep you informed as government in terms of the wildfire situation.
The honourable member for Portage-La Prairie.
24-hour security guards have worked very well at Oak Tree Towers, according to residents and public safety. Honourable Speaker, how many Manitoba housing facilities have 24-hour on-site security guards?
The Honourable Minister of Housing, Addiction and Homelessness.
Miigwech, Honourable Speaker. Safety and security in our Manitoba housing buildings is at the utmost priority for our government. It wasn't under the failed former callous government. They, in fact, cut security. They cut tenant service coordinators. These are the very folks that kept these folks safe and secure. They kept them tenanted in these buildings. So for that member to get up and ask questions like that, that member should apologize to those folks that they made homeless under their time in government. They sold off housing. They're holding up Bill 12. Their leader can pass Bill 12 that protects social housing today. Whose home do they want to sell next?
The honourable member for Portage-La Prairie on a supplementary question.
I'll speak about one of the facilities that does have 24-hour security. That's 355 Kennedy. Honourable Speaker, can the minister explain why security guards are not permanent at Oak Tree Towers?
The Honourable Minister of Housing, Addiction and Homelessness.
There is still security at Oak Tree Towers. Nothing has changed. In fact, we've beefed up the security there. Since 2021, they were knocking on the former government's door asking for security upgrades in this building. They wanted cameras. They wanted key card access. They wanted rock guard window put in their front door. Did they respond? No. Guess who responded? Our government responded.
Yeah.
We put those measures in place, and we've invested over $5 million into Oak Tree Towers. So again, I'll ask the members opposite, why is the leader holding up Bill 12, and whose home do they want to sell next?
The honourable member for Portage-La Prairie on a final supplementary question.
Speaker, the residents have told me that this problem has gotten tremendously worse over the last year and a half. Oak Tree Towers was told by the security guard company they were done on June 4th. Yet, yesterday, the minister's office said no end date. Will the minister stop playing with the people's lives of Oak Tree Towers? Honourable Speaker, will this minister listen to the residents, install security guards permanently at Oak Tree Towers today? Yes or no?
The Honourable Minister of Housing, Addiction and Homelessness.
Miigwech, Honourable Speaker. The only ones who played with people's lives in this province is members opposite when they were in government. They were selling off housing and putting people in encampments, allowing them to go into deeper addictions, allowing our streets to become unsafe. They were firing police officers. They were firing tenant service coordinators. They were firing security guards that actually kept these very buildings safe and secure. We're not going to take that approach. We're continuing to work with municipalities, including the Mayor of Portage-La Prairie, Mayor Knox. So I'd invite that member to get on board, come and work collaboratively, because that's what we're all doing. We're all trying to make our province a better province, and we'll continue to do that work. That's why members opposite
His time has expired. The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park.
Honourable Speaker, across Canada, pharmacists are playing an increasing role in expanding access to primary care, particularly in areas like contraception. In BC, pharmacists have been prescribing contraception for over a year, and it has quickly become the most common category of prescriptions they issue. The president of the Canadian Medical Association has publicly called for a more team-based model of care, one that enables pharmacists and others to help reduce pressures on physicians. Honourable Speaker, does this government plan to enable and empower pharmacists to directly assess and prescribe contraception?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
The short answer to that question from the member for Tyndall Park is yes. That is a very reasonable expansion of scope for pharmacists in Manitoba. We want pharmacists who graduate in our great province to know that right here in their own province they can practice to their full scope and that their scope is going to be enhanced. And I want to thank the pharmacists who are here with us today, not only for choosing that incredibly rewarding career path, but for also advocating and using their voice to make the profession even stronger. I've had the pleasure to sit down with many pharmacists over the past 18 months or so. We are listening, we're taking action, we're making changes so you can practice better in our own province.
The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park on a supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, according to the Canadian Pharmacists Association, Manitoba currently ranks near the bottom of Canada for pharmacists prescribing authority. This means Manitoba is missing out on accessible frontline health services that are available in other provinces. Just as an example, oftentimes people are waiting 5+ hours at walk-in clinics for antibiotics for an ear infection or strep throat. If pharmacists had more prescribing authority, wait times in clinics and emergency rooms could go down. Does the minister agree that if they were to give more tools to pharmacists, such as prescribing authority, that the wait times for healthcare services in Manitoba would go down?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, you'll note that the members opposite didn't clap for the first question the member for Tyndall Park asked, which was about reproductive health care. And I do find that really interesting and pretty telling. But to answer her question directly, yes, I wholeheartedly agree, which is why our government, after 7.5 years of no action being taken by the previous PC administration on birth control or other areas, perhaps because they don't support reproductive health care advancing in this province, our government is taking very real steps. We believe that pharmacists should be able to expand their scope. We want to make sure that our province is not only competitive, but a leader in this space. There are regulatory and legislative changes that need to be made. Our government is moving forward in making those. We're going to keep pharmacists in this province up to speed as to how this work is moving along, and we're going to make sure they get to practice in the ways that they deserve and want to the benefit of all Manitobans.
The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park on a final supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, here are a couple of examples. In Saskatchewan, pharmacists are now assessing and prescribing for strep, ear infections, and other common ailments. In Nova Scotia, pharmacy care clinics have reduced unnecessary ER visits by more than 9%. Now here in Manitoba, pharmacists are specifically educated to help patients with common ailments and reduce their visits to the emergency room. Will the minister, in their mandate, commit to enabling and funding Manitoba pharmacists to help their patients access the care they need faster?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Again, I really appreciate that question from the member for Tyndall Park. We're on the same page on this. We really are. We want to make sure that Manitobans have greater access to primary care. I've had the opportunity to visit a number of pharmacies, whether it's in my own constituency or others, and I've been able to see the power of improving primary care access when it's with pharmacists, what that means for folks in communities who maybe don't have a different primary care provider or who feel connected to the primary care provider who is their pharmacist. We want to enhance those relationships. We want Manitobans to have more access to primary care, not less, and so we are going to be taking those steps. I also want to highlight that pharmacy techs have a big role to play in this, and we're also exploring ways to enhance their scope of practice as well.
The Honourable Member for Tuxedo.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Over 7.5 years, the former PC government forced hundreds of Manitobans to live in bus shacks, under bridges, and on the streets. Members opposite sold people's homes right out from underneath them. But our government has been moving Manitobans out of encampments and into safe and supportive housing through our Your Way Home plan. Can the Minister of Housing, Addictions and Homelessness update the House on how our government is helping Manitobans find their way home?
Great. The Honourable Minister of Housing, Addiction and Homelessness.
Thank you much, Honourable Speaker. I want to thank my colleague, the member from Tuxedo, for that great question. Last week, we announced that our government supported 33 people moving from encampments into safe, supportive housing. And we're going to continue that great work by investing $6.4 million to open up 67 housing units, which will help dozens more find their way home with the support that they need to live successfully. For years, the former PC government sold homes out from underneath Manitobans and forced them to live in encampments. But on this side of the House, we believe that in such a rich country as Canada, no one should be forced to live in a tent. That's why our government will continue to always support folks in Manitoba finding their way home.
The Honourable Member for Springfield-Richot.
A business owner in the Minister of Finance's own constituency has seen their education property taxes jump by almost 25%. This Premier talks about tax incentives to lure American businesses, so why does he punish Manitoba companies with higher tax bills? And I table the tax bill for the Minister's photo album of shame.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Our government is making life more affordable for Manitobans, and we're reducing costs for businesses. Of course, the Minister of Health earlier referenced the fact that we cut payroll taxes this year to support businesses, and we brought in a $10 million security rebate program to help them do that important work of making their businesses safer while they reduce their costs. That's something, right. You know, we're also continuing to do that important work of making life more affordable for all Manitobans. We've reduced, of course, school education taxes with our $1,600 homeowner affordability tax credit. We've also, of course, cut income taxes. We froze hydro rates, and we cut the gas tax. We are doing the work of making life more affordable for all Manitobans.
The Honourable Member for Springfield-Rashott.
And then this minister raised that individual's taxes by $7,000. That is a tax increase, not a cut. Those that are building our economy are being punished by this government. They are punished for trying to keep Manitobans employed and punished for trying to grow jobs in spite of this NDP government. Why is this minister punishing his own constituents with higher taxes?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, we're making life more affordable for Manitobans, and we're lowering costs for business. And while we do that, we're also making sure that our education system has the funding it needs to make sure we support our students in a good way. That includes bringing forward an important universal school nutrition program that's helping kids to succeed. Now, what did the members opposite do with education dollars, Honourable Speaker? Well, they sent checks to billionaires, including a $1 million, $48,000 check in 2022 to Cadillac Fairview. While they send checks to billionaires and hand out money to billionaires, you know what we do? We hand out food to children in our schools to help them succeed.
That's right.
The Honourable Member for Lakeside.
Honourable Speaker, Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure's website lists the Highway 227 surface reconstruction project from Road 430 to PTH 6 as in the design phase. Will the minister advise when construction will commence and what the anticipated completion date will be?
The Honourable Minister for Transportation and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. You know, I just want to take the opportunity to, first of all, to say that construction projects that are scheduled can be found online on the transportation website. But since I do have an opportunity to stand today, I really want to take the opportunity to thank the Department of Emergency Management. Staff have been working around the clock on helping people be safe and evacuating communities. And I really want to encourage Manitobans to please heed evacuation orders. It will save your life. It can save the life of your family as well as our firefighters working in that area.
The Honourable Member for Lakeside on a supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, the 2023 MTI 5-year plan listed several projects for Highway 227 with a total project scope of 72 kilometres of reconstruction. The NDP 5-year plan now lists 59 kilometres of work on Highway 227. Can the minister explain what has changed in regards to Highway 227 to warrant the reduction in scope?
The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. When it comes to highway infrastructure, evaluations are made based on the use of the roadway, the frequency of traffic, new businesses that might be developing in the area, safety, especially safety. All of those things are taken into consideration, and then priorities are set. With over 19,000 kilometers of highways in the province, we can't do every project at once. Our budget is substantially higher than any year from the previous government's budgets, and we are rebuilding and building up this province.
The Honourable Member for Fort Garry.
Manitobans are about to enjoy another long weekend, but what they don't enjoy is the price of gas spiking each and every weekend. The type of price gouging by big oil companies hurts Manitoba families. The Premier vowed to do something about it, and I quote him, "Every single long weekend, the gas prices go up."
Order, please. Order, please. The government bench needs to come to order. The honourable member for Fort Garry.
I'll quote the Premier, every single long weekend the gas prices go up without fail. Is it because the oil prices have gone up? No, he said. In fact, the Premier went on to accuse the big oil companies of engaging unfair business practices, and I'll table the article. The Premier promised he would give the Public Utilities Board the power to regulate gas, to protect consumers while making big polluters pay. Halfway through his mandate, that hasn't happened. He hasn't protected Manitoba consumers. He hasn't made the big polluters pay. He's broken yet another election promise. How can Manitobans trust this Premier?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, if the member is asking if we did something about fuel costs in Manitoba, the answer is yes. Not only did we bring in, of course, a fuel tax holiday for an entire year, saving Manitobans across the province hundreds of dollars, but we also brought in a permanent 10% cut to the fuel tax, ongoing. And while we do that, we're moving forward with important climate initiatives like the electrification of transportation, the electrification of home heating, and we're doing that because this team, this party cares about affordability, we care about climate, and we're getting the job done.
The honourable member for Fort Garry.
This Premier made a promise during the last election to regulate gas prices through the Public Utilities Board. He pointed to the Atlantic provinces that do regulate prices. In those provinces, gas prices don't spike on long weekends, and their citizens are protected from gas price gouging. There have been 13 long weekends since the election and 13 weekends when Manitoba families had been price gouged. This Premier had 2 legislative sessions to bring laws in to allow the Public Utilities Board to regulate the gas price. Yet this Premier has failed to act. Will this Premier now admit he has broken yet another promise to Manitobans, and will he finally explain why he's siding with big oil companies instead of Manitoba families?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Again, not only are we making life more affordable for Manitobans, but we're also doing the important work of moving forward on decarbonization here in Manitoba. But we're also helping Manitobans to save money while they help us in doing that work with our amazing EV rebate that's been delivered by our Minister for Environment and Climate Change. Not only on new EVs, but also on used EVs, because this party cares about all Manitobans and helping them to make the best climate decisions they can. This side of the House, we will continue to work towards helping to improve our climate and work on our environmental challenges while we make life more affordable. Manitobans can count on us to do that every single day.
Great job.
The time for oral questions has expired, and I would like to take the opportunity to thank everyone. Today's question period was almost enjoyable. Petitions. The Honourable Member for Brandon West.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, on May 1st, 2022, Jordan Reimer, 24 years of age, was killed by an impaired driver while she was acting as a designated driver. Number 2, there are 2 people legally culpable for her death: the impaired driver and the accomplice. The driver was charged, but the second criminal, the accomplice, has not been held accountable. Number 3, a concerned citizen took the keys from the impaired driver earlier in the evening to ensure he could not drive impaired. The accomplice retrieved the keys from the citizen under false pretenses and knowingly provided the impaired driver with access to the vehicle. Number 4, the Winnipeg Police Services, WPS, investigation provided adequate evidence to meet the charging standards and recommended charges be laid against the accomplice. The Crown prosecutors declined to prosecute the accomplice. Number 5, the family of Jordan Reimer has called for the prosecution of the accomplice and that the decision to prosecute be reviewed independently. Number 6, as recently as 2022, there is precedent to refer criminal files of decisions to not proceed with prosecution to extra-provincial departments of justice for review. This was done with the Peter Nygaard file, which ultimately led to a reversal in the decision to not prosecute, and charges were laid. Number 7, an out-of-province review is supported by MAD Canada, MAD Manitoba, and by Manitobans. Number 8, the family has exhausted every avenue within the existing system and in the absence of a prescribed process when a disagreement exists on charging standards, the only option is to request an independent out-of-province review. Number 9, in December 2024, the WPS reported an alarming number of impaired drivers in the holiday check stop program, extending criminal culpability beyond the driver to those who engage in overt actions to facilitate impaired driving will save lives. Number 10, Manitobans deserve to have confidence in the provincial government and justice systems to make decisions that achieve true justice for victims and their families. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to order an out-of-province review of the prosecutor's decision to not prosecute the accomplice in the death of Jordan Reimer. And Honourable Speaker, this petition was signed by Maureen Lee, Edith Graham, Bernice McMullen, and many, many other fine Manitobans.
The Honourable Member for Steinbach.
Honourable Speaker, I wish to present the following petition to the Manitoba Legislature. The background to this petition is as follows. 1, Kelly Veraway, a beloved young woman from Portage Prairie, Manitoba, was tragically killed in a car crash caused by a repeat violent offender with a long criminal history. 2, despite repeated violations of his bail conditions, the offender was free to roam the streets and ultimately claim Kelly's life. This tragedy was entirely preventable. 3, while the criminal code falls under federal jurisdiction, provinces have been given the responsibility for the administration of justice, allowing for meaningful provincial action on bail reform to ensure public safety. 4, other provinces have taken proactive steps to strengthen bail enforcement, but Manitoba has not used all the available tools to address this issue effectively. 5, the provincial government has the ability and the responsibility to advocate for and implement measures that protect its citizens by ensuring that repeat violent offenders are not released into our communities without proper safeguards. 6, immediate action is required to close gaps in the justice system that allows criminals to remain free, which puts innocent Manitobans at risk. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. 1, to urge the provincial government to take immediate and decisive action on bail reform to address serious deficits in enforcement by utilizing all available provincial mechanisms to strengthen warrant enforcement, increasing bail supervision, and opposing release of offenders, thus ensuring that repeat violent offenders are held accountable and that public safety is prioritized over leniency. And 2, to urge the provincial government to lobby the federal government to immediately repeal provisions of the criminal code that allow for the continued victimization of law-abiding Manitobans while granting repeat offenders additional rights. And this is signed by Neil Metcalf, Pam Wilson, Cassie Dilworth, and many other Manitobans. Thank you.
The honourable member for Morden Winkler.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I wish to present the following petition. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. 1. On May 1st, 2022, Jordan Reimer, 24 years of age, was killed by an impaired driver while she was acting as a designated driver. Number 2. There are 2 people legally culpable for her death, and the impaired driver and the accomplice. The driver was charged, but the second criminal, the accomplice, has not been held accountable. Number 3. A concerned citizen took the keys from the impaired driver earlier in the evening to ensure he could not drive impaired. The accomplice retrieved the keys from the citizen under false pretenses and knowingly provided the impaired driver with access to the vehicle. Number 4, the Winnipeg Police Service investigation provided adequate evidence to meet the charging standards and recommended charges be laid against the accomplice. The Crown prosecutors declined to prosecute the accomplice. Number 5, the family of Jordan Reimer has called for the prosecution of the accomplice and that the decision to not prosecute be reviewed independently. Number 6, as recently as 2022, there is precedent to refer criminal files of decisions to not proceed with prosecution to extra-provincial departments of justice for review. This was done with the Peter Nygaard file, which ultimately led to a reversal in the decision to not prosecute, and charges were laid. Number 7, an out-of-province review is supported by MAD Canada, MAD Manitoba, and by Manitobans. Number 8, the family has exhausted every avenue within existing systems, and in the absence of prescribed process, when a disagreement exists in charging standards, the only option is to request an independent out-of-province review. Number 9, in December 2024, the Winnipeg Police Service reported an alarming number of impaired drivers in the holiday check stop program, extending criminal culpability beyond the drivers to those who engage in overt actions to facilitate impaired driving will save lives. Number 10, Manitobans deserve to have confidence in the provincial government and justice systems to make decisions that achieve true justice for victims and their families. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to order an out-of-province review of the prosecutor's decision to not prosecute a compliance in the death of Jordan Reimer. This petition has been signed by many Manitobans, including Laurent Pionz, Chantal Triot, and Zeke Zirer, and other Manitobans. Thank you.
There are no other petitions, grievances, orders of the day, government business. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Can you please resolve the House into the Committee of Supply for the consideration of departmental estimates?
And announce that the House will now dissolve into Committee of Supply. Will the Deputy Chair please take the chair? Will the Deputy Speaker please take the chair?
Will the Committee of Supply please come to order? This section of the Committee of Supply will now consider the estimates of the Department of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism. Does the Honourable Minister have an opening statement?
I do. Thank you, Chair.
The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism.
Thank you so much. I'm pleased to be here today, Honourable Chair. I would like to welcome my colleagues and the members opposite. It's an honour and a privilege as Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism to introduce the 2025-26 budgetary estimates for my department. Budget 2025 reinforces our government's ongoing dedication to nurturing a vibrant and inclusive arts, culture, heritage, sports, and tourism environment across Manitoba throughout our term. Our department supports arts and cultural organizations, amateur sports, heritage programs, and public libraries. We help preserve government records and share Manitoba's unique identity. These efforts celebrate our history, reflect our diverse communities, and create opportunities for people to connect and to grow. We also support tourism through the efforts of Travel Manitoba. Attracting tourists to our province is even more important than before, as Manitoba faces the economic challenges brought about by American tariffs. Tourism is a significant driver of job creation and economic development in our province, playing a crucial role in both urban and rural areas by fostering regional growth and enhancing cultural vitality. This year's budget builds on our previous commitments with an additional $4.5 million investment in tourism, bringing the total to $18.4 million. We are actively encouraging Manitobans to stay at home and explore our beautiful province instead of looking south, while at the same time enhancing our efforts to attract our fellow Canadians and our American neighbours to discover all that Manitoba has to offer. This new funding is projected to generate an additional $125.5 million in visitor spending, including $9.2 million in provincial and local tax revenues, and creating approximately 770 new jobs. These efforts will contribute to the tax revenues necessary to reduce the deficit and support a balanced provincial budget. We are proud to support major sporting events that bring our community together and showcase Manitoba on a national stage. This year, we have allocated $3.6 million to support the hosting of major events in 2025, including the CFL's Grey Cup and the Canadian Elite Basketball League Championship. These events promote physical activity, build community spirit, and reinforce our provincial pride. They support local restaurants, hotels, attractions, bring visitors to our city, and boost our local economy. Public libraries continue to be vital pillars of learning, literacy, and connection in our communities. Recognizing their impact, Budget 2025 provides a $500,000 annual increase beginning in the fiscal year 2025-26 for the Winnipeg Public Library System and the Legislative Library. This additional support will expand access to library services and contribute to the long-term growth of our library network. Our commitment to culture and the arts remains strong. This year, we have provided funding to the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra and the Manitoba Arts Council, with allocations of $300,000 and $250,000 respectively. These investments will help sustain and grow our vibrant arts community, ensuring that Manitobans continue to have access to high-quality cultural experiences. Lastly, I want to express heartfelt gratitude to the dedicated staff in our department. Their dedication and hard work plays a vital role in ensuring a stronger, more inclusive, and culturally rich Manitoba. Thank you.
We thank the Minister for those opening comments. Does the official opposition critic have any opening statements? The Honourable Member for Selkirk.
Thank you, Honourable Chair.
First of all, I want to give my thanks to the Minister and congratulate her on her first Committee of Supply. I'd also like to thank the Department and the civil servants who helped to keep all the sectors in this portfolio thriving in Manitoba. Manitoba's iconic arts and cultural scene and sports sector are part of our identity as Manitobans and our economic future. From the Jets to Folklorama to the Manitoba Museum and beyond, these are key institutions that play a huge part in our lives. I am proud to be a part of the PC Conservative team that truly values sport, culture, heritage, and tourism. You can see that reflected by our new opposition leader, who was the most recent PC Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage. Under his leadership, our previous PC government was able to accelerate progress in those sectors. When we talk about sports, I'm excited for Manitoba to be hosting the Grey Cup and the Canadian Elite Basketball League Championships this year, thanks to the millions of dollars invested by the PCs. Funding for local community groups, initiatives, and events is also very important. The PC supported them through a $100 million Arts, Culture, Sport, and Community Fund, which the NDP government have since scrapped without replacement. When it comes to heritage and information, PC supported essential community hubs through heritage grants, millions in capital investments, modernization, a new funding model for our public libraries. We also supported the establishment of a monument to Chief Peguis on the grounds of our legislature, which has since been delayed by the NDP with no update. We invested and focused on rural Manitoba, which we have heard nothing of in the speech earlier. In terms of the film industry, we introduced and enhanced North America's most competitive film tax credit, supported the new production studio in Niverville, and invested in direct flights between Winnipeg and LA, the later of which was scrapped by the NDP. Tourism has been the talk of the town lately, and we know it's the PCs who built this sector as well. The new PC government came in 2016 and gave Travel Manitoba a 42% funding boost, the first increase that agency had seen in over a decade under the NDP. Since then, we introduced several strategies that have been bolstering Manitoba's tourism to this day, including Indigenous tourism. There is a clear contrast between the PC record and the NDP record on supporting sport, culture, heritage, and tourism here in Manitoba. My hope today is to unpack the direction that the sport, cultural, heritage, and tourism file has taken thus far under the NDP and see where it is headed in Manitoba. Thank you.
And we thank the critic for those opening remarks. Under Manitoba practice, debate on the minister's salary is the last item considered for a department. Accordingly, we shall now defer consideration of line item 14.1 bracket A contained in resolution 14.1. At this time, we invite ministerial and opposition staff to enter the chamber, and I would ask the minister and critic to please introduce their staff in attendance. Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage, and Tourism.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. So I would like to introduce the members of my department with me here today. First, we have Jeff Hanachek, who is the Deputy Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage, and Tourism. And we also have Mike Sosiak, and he is the Assistant Deputy Minister for Administration and Finance, as well as the Executive Financial Officer for our department. We also have with us Chantel Bacon, and she is the Director of Ministerial Affairs out of my office.
Thank you, Minister. And would the critic like to introduce the staff joining him, the member for Selkirk?
Thank you. I'm very proud to introduce Garouche Boutar, who is our #1 staff in this file, doing a tremendous amount of research and getting the information that we look for on a daily basis.
Thank you for that. In accordance with Sub-Rule 77, Bracket 15, during the consideration of departmental estimates, questioning for each department shall proceed in a global manner, with questions put on the resolutions once the official opposition critic indicates that questioning has concluded. The floor is now open for questions. The Honourable Member for Selkirk.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. I'd like to see if the Minister can provide a list of all political staff in her department, including the names and titles.
The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism.
Thank you, Chair. So the staff that I have, as I'd said previously, I named Chantel Bacon, who's here in the chamber with me, and she is the Director of Ministerial Affairs. And then also I have Komalpreet Senga, and she is the executive assistant to myself. We did have a third position, which was a policy analyst, and they have since moved to a different position.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk.
Thank you for that answer. Does the Minister have any staff who are on secondment?
The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism.
If I could just ask the members opposite for clarification, are they looking for secondments within the Minister's office or secondments within the department?
The Honourable Member for Selkirk.
Both, please.
The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism.
So currently, there are no secondments within the department or within the minister's office.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk.
Thank you. It was mentioned earlier by the minister that the third position was vacated. Are there any vacancies in the political staff? Or are they anticipating adding any positions in the department?
The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism.
So we will not be adding any staff members to the team within the minister's office.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk.
Thank you for that answer. Is there any other additional political staff that work with the minister?
The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism.
So there are a number of political staff, really a team of political staff who support a number of the minister's offices within the Legislative Assembly. And so they're not directly staffed within my minister's office, but they do support a number of ministers' offices.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk.
Can the minister tell us which departments they would come from? Communication, or is there other supporting roles that the staff work with?
The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. So I'd like to just talk about the collaborative approach that we take as a government. It's something that we really pride ourselves on. And as Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism, I work with all ministers and their staff cross-departmentally, and it's pretty wonderful to be able to have that relationship with the other ministers in our cabinet. And I'm really fortunate to have the support in my office of my two political staff, Chantel here and Komal, who's my executive assistant. Komal is a young woman who's quite brilliant, really, has a lot of experience for someone of such a young age within different offices. She's worked within the Minister of Health's office and as well as my own, and is such a wonderful addition to our team. She really is able to be responsive when we're out in the community, attending events, meeting with stakeholders at the legislature, is great at building relationships and just being able to operate in a variety of different social situations. She has her degree in political science and really is the future of leadership and politics. So I'm happy to be able to work with her on many hours a day. With regards to my Director of Ministerial Affairs, Chantel here, I'll say some really amazing things about her as someone who was newly appointed in the middle of November as a minister. She comes to this role as Director of Ministerial Affairs with a wide range of experience. In the previous NDP government, was able to have that role with a number of ministers, one of them moving on to be the leader or the premier of the province. And so, and she's been with my colleague Minister Moses before coming over to my department when I was named minister.
I'll just remind the minister we have to refer to folks by their constituency or ministerial department.
My apologies.
The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism.
Thank you, Chair, for the reminder. And so she has just a wide range of experience and is so adept at being able to guide me with her expertise and her political knowledge and knowledge of departments, and is able to really keep our department running in a way that is so wonderful to be able to have the liaising with our deputy minister. And so she is just a wonderful addition to my team, and I enjoy working with her very much.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk.
I'd like to thank the minister for that glowing review of the staff that she works with. It's very important to appreciate the people that you're with, but however, the question was the additional staff that work with the minister that are not those previously named people. The question was, what departments do they come from?
Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage, and Tourism.
So I just want to reiterate how very fortunate I am to work with amazing ministers. My colleagues are pretty incredible people and do a great job. And we work together, and it's because we're a collaborative government and we have these relationships with each other. So I work with everyone. And that's how really our government should be. It should be collaborative. It should be a listening government. And so I'm proud to be a part of a government that is both of those things. So I'm happy to answer these questions about staffing, but I would like to actually answer some questions about my portfolio: sport, culture, heritage, and tourism. So hopefully this is the last question about staffing, and we can move on to the orders of the day and chat about the department. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Dawson Trail.
I respect that the minister wants to move on from the questions about staffing, but staffing play a critical role in all things within government. So these are very important questions to the way government is being run and her department is being run. I'm going to shift just a bit over to the sports end of thing here. Can the minister provide a total allocation for the Department of Sport budget for 2025 and 2024, and then I'll let my colleague get back to his staffing questions.
The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism.
So in budget 2024-25, which you were asking about, the budget for Sport Manitoba for that year was $14,310,000. And then for the sport event hosting grant for 24-25 was $102,000 was the budget.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. My previous question regarding the staff, and I've been a business owner for many years. I've sat on many different boards. I've been in charge of committees and volunteer boards, and every opportunity I've had to uplift and talk about staff or the people in the organizations, I jumped at it. I found the answer to that from the minister to be actually very disrespectful to the staff that work very hard in that department. So I'm going to move on to something a little closer. Will the minister tell us who is directly responsible for the casework that comes to the minister's office?
The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. So with regards to the casework that my critic is asking about, my office works with the Deputy's office to work through any casework that comes in consultation with my political staff. Also, I wanted to just take a moment to talk about really the amazing front of the house staff that I have within my department office. They are quite remarkable. They field calls and emails on a daily basis. It's a very heavy load of phone calls and emails, and they go through, touching base with the public on a daily basis, and they listen to them, and of course they provide information as they can, and yeah, they're really great staff. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Dawson Trail.
So I'd like to thank the Minister for the previous answer regarding the budget. Can the Minister break down what specific programs or areas saw the largest increases or cuts and why this occurred?
The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism.
So I just want to clarify with the member, just to be sure that I'm gathering the correct information. When you say increases or cuts, are you meaning in comparison to last year's budget, so 24-25 budget compared to 25-26 budget? I just want to clarify. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Dawson Trail.
So my question is more geared to what's going on currently, not past years. I'm curious, and it kind of leads into my next question, so I'll ask them both at the same time here. It's talking about whatever programs did see increases with this budget and which ones did not. Also, how were stakeholders consulted in that, and how was that determined in those changes? So that would have been my follow-up question. I'll give you them both at the same time.
The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism.
I'd like to thank the member opposite for the question. Really, what I want to stress is that our government is really here to invest in Manitoba. I think we've made that clear. And we're stepping up to invest an additional $4.5 million in Travel Manitoba in order to boost our local economy, support local businesses, and create good jobs for Manitobans. Manitobans are proud of our incredible province and our country, and this investment is going to strengthen our economy as we work together to build one Manitoba and really to invite the world to visit the true north, strong and free, our beautiful province. We've also increased funding to libraries, which are community hubs, and being a person who grew up in a rural area, I know, and having spoke with folks who run these local libraries that are really those community hubs in small towns, so important, and so we're really happy to be able to increase that funding. As I said in my opening remarks, we've also invested in hosting the Grey Cup this year, which we're really excited about, and also hosting the Canadian Elite Basketball Championship. Our government really is important to note that we made a promise to Manitobans that we're working to uplift our province's rich cultural history and strengthen our communities and build a province for the next generation, which is, as a parent, something that's really important to me. Having already met with arts groups and performers in the province, I can confidently say that our government is there for the WSO and for Manitoba's arts community. We're listening and we're acting to support musicians and arts across the province. This year, we've also increased funding to the WSO and the Manitoba Arts Council. And we really, I think what's really important to note since becoming minister in the middle of November, I've had the great privilege and honor to meet with a number of stakeholders in the areas for my department, and they are incredibly passionate about the arts and the areas in which they serve Manitobans. And as we prepare for estimates, this is a process that's starting. We're going to be continuing the tradition of meeting with stakeholders. We're a listening government, we're collaborative, and we want to know what's important to these organizations and to these stakeholders, so we take those things into consideration. And it's something that we do on a very regular basis, and something that I really enjoy doing is building those relationships with our stakeholders.
The member for Selkirk.
Thank you, Chair. A little disappointed. My colleague asked a sports question. I think we got an answer on everything else, or a statement on everything else but sports, except for did you know the Grey Cup is coming? I think that as being a business owner for many years and being a bunch of boards, I would be remiss if I didn't say I'm a little disillusioned here. I would assume that somebody in charge of a department would have the information readily available and couldn't wait to get up and tell the wonderful things that were going on in that department and be able to spew them off. You could ask me anything in my business, you can ask my employees things in the business, and they would certainly know what the intricacies are on a very quick basis. So hopefully we can get some actual answers here today. Just a very simple questioning that we're asking as to funding and for sports and for culture, for arts and for heritage. So I'm just going to go back to just something that we know in this House is that just last month in this chamber alone, the WSO came here and filled the gallery. And they were here to talk about the financial strain that they've been under, and they've been forced to face significant cutbacks to their programming. Other local organizations have also expressed similar challenges. What has the minister done since the WSO came here and talked about their cutbacks? What have they done to increase funding in that sector?
The Minister of Sport, Culture and Heritage.
Thank you, Chair. So what I would say is something that we're really proud of within our government. Thank you, sorry about that. Something that we're really proud of within our government is that since taking government, we've increased funding to the WSO by $700,000. And I would like to point out that when the members opposite were in government, they actually froze funding to the WSO year after year, which is pretty disappointing. So not only have we increased our investment into the arts sector, specifically, I would say and would like to put on the record that our government has increased, since taking government, funding to the Manitoba Arts Council to the tune of $1.25 million, which is significant. Our government understands how important the arts is in our province, and certainly we're incredibly proud of our investments, and we are really proud of the thriving art scene that we have here in Manitoba. And we'll continue to be proud of the incredible art scene that we have here in our province.
The member for Dawson Trail.
Okay, so again, I had a question that was very specific about consultation and those sort of things, and it seems like sport isn't very high on the radar for the minister currently, which is a bit surprising to me because we are bringing forward a bill on safe sport. And there's not really a lot of consultation going on, which, again, concerns me. But we're not here to debate legislation at this point. I again, would love to give the minister that opportunity to re-answer that question, but I'm going to move more towards the Grey Cup right now. The budget mentions that Manitoba will be hosting the Grey Cup and the Canadian Elite Basketball League Championships this year. As we all know, these major events are coming to the province thanks to PC investments in the Winnipeg Football Club and Sea Bears. Last year, the Premier put out a press release re-announcing the $1 million for the CEBL championships and $450,000 for the Sea Bears initial operations. Can the minister please share any new funding her government has invested in the Grey Cup, and then a separate number for the investments within the CEBL events this year?
The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism.
So I'd like to thank the member opposite for the question. I enjoy talking about sports. I think that our government does a great job of supporting the sports sector. We're incredibly thrilled to support the sports sector in our province, and that's why our government invested $5.5 million for the Grey Cup. And through just that one event that's going to be happening this fall, the economic impact is going to be $90 million, which is truly incredible. We've also invested $1 million for the CBL Championships, and that's going to be bringing in 5,000 spectators. And it's going to have an estimated direct spend of $1.8 million. Also, which is something that's happening right now, which is very exciting, is of course, the NHL playoffs. And we've invested $300,000 to go through holding the whiteout parties, which everyone's been so excited to take part in. And that's bringing business to our downtown Winnipeg. And really, our whole entire province is behind the Winnipeg Jets. Yeah, so we're excited to see them advance to the third round. Go Jets, go.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Again, that was 10 minutes to come up with that answer. A little underwhelming from my standpoint. The previous answer also was 10 minutes to tell me that there's been $0 spent since the WSO came here asking for financial help. And then the minister talks about the funds that they put in. I'd like to remind the minister that when you combine the PC budget that was put forward along with the ACSC funds that were put there, the amount of money spent by the PC government on the arts is much greater than the NDP government is currently doing. So I'll move along. We know that in addition to the incredible PC film tax credit, another key incentive for the film industry here in Manitoba was the direct flights between Winnipeg and Los Angeles. That was another initiative of the former PC government. Yet, a few weeks ago, the NDP government pulled its support for these direct flights. What was the dollar amount that was saved that put nearly a $500 million industry at risk?
The Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Manitobans are proud of our world-class film and production sector. I certainly am, as Minister responsible for sport, culture, heritage and tourism here. Over the past year, Manitoba saw an all-time high of $440 million in film production in 2024. We've helped draw millions of dollars into our local economy from international investors. And to be completely honest, that's why it's really concerning that the leader of the official opposition, your leader, thanked Donald Trump for tariffs. It's incredibly important. He's willing to put our provincial economy at risk for his own gain, which is quite disturbing, really. I've been speaking to those who represent the film industry. We've been in constant contact, and they are just remarkable professionals. And they know that our government is working collaboratively with them. We hear all the time from stakeholders about how open our government is, how easily accessible we are, how collaborative we are, and that really is the style of governance that the NDP takes, and we're proud of that. We have a resilient local production industry, but of course we understand that uncertainty that the issue creates, it really does. The tariffs are creating uncertainty, and that's why we're monitoring the situation closely. And we're going to continue to work with folks in the film industry to protect and to grow this vital part of our economy together. I think it's important to highlight that our Premier has been on the front lines of the Team Canada approach to deal with Trump's tariffs, in so much as he has signed a memorandum of understanding today with the province of Ontario, which is incredible. He's also been working with all the premiers, federal government, and everyone is, on really united on the tariff front. So while the opposition and their leader are thanking Trump for tariffs, we're working to boost our local economy and protect our workers. It's also important to note that our government has invested $4.5 million here at home to boost our local economy. Thank you, Honourable Chair.
The Honourable Member for Dawson Trail.
Shifting back to sport and just a little bit in my preamble here before I get to my question, I'm pretty sure the member didn't ask anything about Trump tariffs and in his question there, so I believe it was more about what the industry was bringing and why you would cut to that industry. Going back to my previous question, I'd like to thank you for those numbers and ask the minister if any of these investments have come at the expense of other sport organizations like minor sports, so on. Like, we've got some pretty significant investments here with the Grey Cup and the Jets and all those things. I just want to ensure that they're not coming at the expense of minor sports or other organizations. And because in my first question, we really didn't touch on any of the consultation, this is where this concern is coming from.
The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism.
So while the PCs cut while they were in office, we're investing for sports for all Manitobans. Since our government has taken power, we've invested $1 million more in Sports Manitoba to support amateur sport.
The Honourable Member for Dawson Trail.
So I understand that the minister has these talking points that come from her government, and they always claim that in 7.5 years of damage, so on and so forth. They've also claimed during that whole entire time that they had solutions to these problems. It's been 1.5 years, and they really haven't come up with any of those solutions that one could argue they've had for the past 9 years. So I'll give the minister an opportunity again when this resumes to talk a little bit more about consultation and some of the, give us some real answers on what's going on within this department and not just talking lines that come from her party. Looking at the time, I'll just leave it to the minister at this point.
The hour being 5 p.m., committee rise and call on the Speaker. The hour being 5 p.m., the House is adjourned and stands adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning.